What's going on, you guys? This is Tower number 9, and today we're going to do another of the pack openings here. And once again, we're going to be using the 3-pack at a time method here, where I'm going to be taking these 3 packs, looking at them as if I was drafting, then opening those 3 packs, looking at them as if I was drafting, and then combining the two and doing a as if it was a sealed pool and seeing what kind of deck we can build. So this may be the last one of these videos for a time, because these are the last of the boosters that I have here from Spark of Rebellion. So yeah, let's enjoy it, take a look, and see what we get. So first up, we're going to take the leaders out of these packs as if we are drafting. So we have a Chewbacca. Probably not my favorite leader, quite frankly, but, you know, we'll see how it goes. Next up, we're going to have a Chewbacca. Definitely not my favorite leader setup. And then we have a Sabine Wren. Okay, so two Chewies and a Sabine. You know, we'll have to see how this. We'll have to see how these packs turn out, and we'll see what we can find here. So let's look at the first pack. So this pack here, we'll put this base off to the side. We have a First Legion Snowtrooper, Consortium Star Viper, Death Trooper, Cantina Braggart, Vanguard Infantry, Alliance X-Wing, Bounty Hunter Crew, that's a pretty good one for a draft, Restock, Snapshot Reflexes, Overwhelming Barrage, ooh, Baze Malbus, Vanguard Ace, Emperor's Royal Guard, nice, I was looking for my 3rd copy of that actually, and a foil copy of Devotion. Okay, so looking at this, my immediate impulse with this, honestly, is to take the Overwhelming Barrage, and I know that may seem strange, but Overwhelming Barrage is a bomb card. It's so strong that it's probably worth playing at 7 resources, especially if we end up with a blue-green Chewie deck. So I think this is very reasonable. If we had a single villainy leader, this would be almost the automatic pick. As it stands, the fact that we're only heroism makes it a little less good, but honestly, I'm not sure what else we would take. I mean, maybe the best pick would be like, we could take Baze, we could take Devotion, we could take Alliance X-Wing or Consortium Star Viper, but none of those are really like high impact cards. I think the Overwhelming Barrage in this case would be our pick. Okay, so then we will move on to our second pack of this group. Let's see what it looks like. I do wish I had a different selection of leaders there, but maybe the leader draft went really badly for me this time. Death Trooper, we got a Wampa, Super Laser Tech, Alliance X-Wing, Repair, First Legion Snowtrooper, Restock, Swoop Racer, Asteroid Sanctuary, Chewie, Prepare for Takeoff, Power Failure, Galactic Ambition, not the best rare in the world, and a nice Hyperspace Foil Spec Force Soldier. Very cool looking. Not necessarily the strongest card in a draft, but very cool looking. Okay, what do we want out of this pile? So Galactic Ambition is kind of off the board. Even though it is our rare, it isn't a card that is actually very playable. It's arguably not even really very playable in Constructed, and it's definitely not that good in Draft. If we had Villainy, I am going to put it in a sleeve though, because it is a rare, and we're going to do the same thing for that Emperor's Royal Guard we drew in the previous pack. But if we had Villainy, I think there would be an argument for this this Super Laser Technician, or maybe this Death Trooper. Those would be pretty solid. I'm actually not a very big fan of Chewbacca, the unit. He like seems good, but people always seem to have a way around him. I don't know, it might sound crazy, but I might just take this Wampa as like a big solid unit. It goes with Sabine, or maybe I take the Alliance X-Wing, which is just a solid initial drop. This is not a pack that really fills me with glee, I'll tell you that. I am not thrilled by what we're seeing here. I think think I would end up taking the Wampa probably, because 4 for a 4/5 with Overwhelm, honestly pretty solid in draft. We know we probably want to go with Sabine instead of Chewie, just because Chewie is, in my opinion, a weaker leader. And if we do go Chewie, we could potentially go Red Chewie anyway. So I think I take the Wampa, but I am not very happy about that pack, quite frankly. If that is my pack one, pick one. You know, this is a unfortunate leader setup, and this pack has not given me an option that I am really thrilled to draft. Okay. Oh, and let's get a sleeve for Hyperspace Spec Force Soldier, which is a honestly really nice looking card. May just be a common Hyperspace foil though, looking pretty great even just on this fairly basic common. Okay, so that's sleeved up. And then we'll move to our last pack of the first group. So we have a Command Center for the base, Strike True, System Patrolcraft, Green Squadron A-Wing, Recruit, Wilderness Fighter, Open Fire, Maximum Firepower, Disarm, Rogue Operative, 97th Legion, Forced Surrender. Ooh, a nice looking Hyperspace General Dodonna, very cool. A copy of Cunning, which is a very good card, but not in the colors we have, and a Patrolling V-Wing. Okay, so looking at these, let's think about this. So Green Squadron A-Wing is one of the best opening cards in the game. Open Fire is a very solid, just sort of unconditional, basic removal sort of thing. Just does that damage, does it to ground, does it to space. Very solid card. Hyperspace Dodonna, in addition to looking really cool, is actually a unit that can go very well in draft. So this one has some real options. I think of these, man, do I end up taking the Hyperspace Dodonna? Yeah, it's interesting. So if I went with the Open Fire is, oh, and System Patrolcraft is actually also a playable card, but given that we're biased towards Sabine, I think that the Green Squadron A-Wing or Open Fire is more appealing than the System Patrolcraft. So Green Squadron A-Wing is a really good early aggro card. Open Fire is a very solid, just basic unconditional removal, and that Dodonna is not only a cool looking card with this hyperspace, really giving a nice impression, but also can be really solid if you can get some rebels to give you some nice early aggro. I think we probably go with the A-Wing here. Maybe it should be Dodonna, but I think we go with the A-Wing. If the A-Wing were Hyperspace and Dodonna were regular, I would definitely go with the A-Wing, which I think means the A-Wing is probably the right call, just because it's such a good early aggro card and it fits really right into what Sabine is trying to do. But that Dodonna is tempting, as is the Open Fire. Feel free to flame me in the comments if you want. But I think if we're going to just try to maximize win percentage, I think I would take the A-Wing because it really is one of the best early drops you can get. We are going to sleeve up both Cunning and Dodonna there, as they are, they are quite relevant cards. So Dodonna and Cunning. Cunning is a legendary and maybe the best of the double aspect cards, but really not all that strong in this environment, simply because we don't have Cunning leaders. So we would be probably paying at least a single and maybe a double aspect penalty. Just doesn't seem that good. All right, we're gonna leave these leaders up here for when we do the sealed later, but now we're going to move on. Second group of 3. So as we did the first time, we're going to be pulling the leaders out of these packs first to show what options we have. Let's say this was the leader draft. So this time we got a Sabine. Then we had a Sabine. We have a Boba. That's a very good start. Sabine and Boba. That is something you like to see. And now opening up this last pack, we have a Grand Admiral Thrawn. So Thrawn probably overshadowed by Boba here, but having access to both Sabine and Boba is a pretty good start for a draft. So then we're going to take this pack, see what we got. So we have a Repair, Wampa, Super Laser Technician, Cloud City Wingguard, Spec Force Soldier, Steadfast Battalion, Asteroid Sanctuary, Snowtrooper Lieutenant, Mining Guild Tie, Reinforcement Walker, that's a nice endgame card, Starwing Scout, a nice Hyperspace Bib Fortuna, we have a Traitorous, and we have a foil 2-1B Surgical Droid. Okay, so let's think about this. So if we want to stay open, we could pick something that is not a... If we want to stay open, we could pick something that doesn't commit to villainy or heroism. I'm just going to be sleeving up some of these while we talk. That Hyperspace Bib gets a sleeve, as does Traitorous here. So the other question, though, is do we want to try and commit? So, for instance, Boba Command is really good. We could say that we're going to go Boba Command, and we could pick... There are multiple cards here that would be great for it. Another option would be to pick a command card that is solid, but is not committed. It's something that we could play in either Sabine or Boba. So, for instance, we could play the Reinforcement Walker, which is a good endgame card for either. The one downside is that costing 8, usually Sabine doesn't want a resource up to 8. The Steadfast Battalion might be quite reasonable. It is worse in draft than it is in constructed, thanks to ECL access being unlikely, but is by no means a terrible card. And then Traitorous here, also a potential bomb, honestly. This card can have a huge impact, especially if your opponent has upgraded a small unit. The one foible is that it is really vulnerable to upgrade destruction. So I think if I know that I'm going Boba, I'd probably take the Super Laser Tech. Maybe the Steadfast Battalion's reasonable. The Reinforcement Walker is reasonable. Yeah, let's think. Traitorous, though. I think probably my first pick is going to be the Traitorous, just because it can be such a high impact card. And in the event that we see that the opponent has upgrade removal, we can always sideboard out the Traitorous. So I would pick the Traitorous. It's also a card that works well for either Sabine or Boba, and in the right situation can hugely swing a game. So I think that's got to be the pick for this pack. Now we're going to move on to our second pack. So, Cargo Juggernaut, Keep Fighting, Escort Skiff, Vigilant Honor Guards, Jeddah Agitator, Lothal Insurgent, Confiscate, Surprise Strike, a very nice looking but unfortunately very weak Hyperspace Jawa Scavenger. This is a card that I think is not strong, but man, that Hyperspace looks good anyway. Honestly, I've often been impressed by how well that Hyperspace treatment looks, even on relatively basic cards. Lieutenant Childson, or Childson, or however you pronounce this. Probably not going to be a great card here because we're not playing some super blue deck. Wing Leader, that's a strong card here. No Good to Me Dead. Ooh, a Relentless. And we actually have a foil Jeddah City as well. Very cool. Okay. That was a pretty cool pack. So let's see here. So Relentless is like a super unit closer thing, and it prevents the opponent from using events to remove it. That's a really good roll, but it costs 9, and it's not always clear whether your game is going to get to 9. Wing Leader is an extremely strong card, but commits us to playing Sabine. We could also play Surprise Strike is a really strong card that goes into a bunch of different decks. So that actually, I don't know why I sleeved Wing Leader or Surprise Strike. Those cards are not rare and not fancy. We need to actually sleeve up Jawa Scavenger because he is, as much as I dislike the card, it is a Hyperspace. Okay, so yeah, what am I thinking here? So Yeah, my immediate choices. So if we're committed to Boba Fett, we could potentially play the Relentless. We could potentially play No Good to Me Dead, which is a really good card. The surprise. So if we're committed to Sabine, I think we almost certainly select this Wing Leader, which is a great card for her. Given that it's pack one, pick one, and we're trying to stay open, I don't think that I go with the Wing Leader. I think it's probably ends up being the Surprise Strike, which fits very naturally into Boba, but if we end up with a Sabine yellow deck, it could go very well there as well. So I think the Surprise Strike is my pick. Relentless is tempting, but even though it's like a huge closer type unit, the fact that it costs 9 makes me a lot more skeptical about it than I would be about some of the like 7 cost super units that I think are just huge draft bombs. Because Relentless, you may well lose some games before you get a chance to play it, especially because that ability does not necessarily have immediate impact. Okay, so now we're on this last pack. This may be the last pack of this that I open, aside from event prizes or playing limited. Let's see what we get. So Battlefield Marine, Rebel Pathfinder, Make an Opening, Cantina Braggart, Consortium Star Viper, Disarm, Viper Probe Droid, Bounty Hunter Crew, a very cool looking Hyperspace Wampa, General Tag, Zeb Aurelius, Protector. Ooh, we got a Mace Windu here, very cool. And we have a foil Consortium Star Viper. So of these, I think we end up going with the Mace Windu here. So Mace Windu is one of those 7 cost cards that can kind of be a bomb in draft. So he has 5/7 ambush, and when he attacks and defeats a unit, you ready him. So he can come into play, take out an enemy unit, and then be ready to attack again. So he kind of combines removing an enemy unit with some potential aggro. Additionally, if the opponent has many small units, he can repeatedly attack into them, defeat them, and ready up. So I consider him kind of a bomb. Additionally, he's more of an aggro card than some of these other ones, so he fits well into Sabine's game plan, and I think pack one, pick one for this pack has got to be Mace Windu. Okay, so that is going to do it for the drafting component, but now we're going to get to the sealed component. Also, check out this sweet Hyperspace Wampa, man. These Hyperspaces look so good. Ah, man. Okay. Yeah, so now we're going to move on to the sealed part of the draft. Let's see how that does. Okay. I said the sealed part of the draft. I mean the sealed part of the video. So we're gonna start laying these things out in the sort of format here that I like to use. So we're gonna have the different rows and columns for the different aspects. And so here we have, this one's going to be aggression. This one's going to be command. Here we're going to have, vigilance. Here we're going to have cunning. And here we're going to have the neutral or just heroism, just villainy cards. And so we have the different rows and the different columns with the heroism cards on top, the neutral cards in the middle, and the villainy cards in the bottom. Oh, and we will put double aspect cards off to the side. Zeb Aurelius, Disarm. We'll also put this base off to the side. There is a chance that we use that. Don't know that it's a great chance. Jeddah City is, I think, one of the weaker bases, but it's possible we would end up wanting to play it. Having a 25 HP base can sometimes be a lot of value. The main time when I think those bases are a liability is if you end up just racing and not really engaging with your units. The base abilities often don't do very much. But, sorry, I nudged the camera or the tripod a little bit there. We're setting up these, and let's see what we do here. So one thing to be mindful of when you're setting up a sealed pool like this is not just how many cards are in each, of these piles, but also how strong the cards are. Because sometimes you'll have a lot of cards from a particular aspect, but the cards that you have aren't going to be ones that you actually want to play. So then we have our Chewies up there and a second copy of Sabine. Not a great leader pull for sealed, incidentally. We don't have that many options with this. This Cunning will be over here in double aspect land. Fancy Dodonna. Let's see here. We have not had a single villainy aggression card yet. And that's kind of wild. But sometimes that's how the cards wind up. And this is one of the reasons why it's important. If you're going into draft or sealed, I think it's really important to not have a preset idea of what you want to play, or at the very least be flexible to change. So, you know, if I had gone into this pool thinking I'm gonna play villainy, I want to play aggression villainy for sure, you know, I might be in trouble, because even if I wanted to play that with Boba, the card pool here just doesn't have any aggression villainy cards. So the options for me for playing that particular aspect are very limited, whereas other aspects are going to have more cards. Here, hey, we finally have a aggression villainy card. Other aspects are going to have more cards as a result, and you have to adapt to what you're given. And this is also something like this is so I'm talking about that kind of in light of sealed, with this being the sealed pool, but something like that is also kind of true in draft. There's this idea of, you know, what should I try to play, and the answer is play your seat. And play your seat means you should play whatever is like the best thing to play given the cards that you're being passed and what the other players are playing. Now, it can be difficult to figure that out. There's a lot of stuff that goes into draft signaling and detecting signals and figuring out when what things are likely to be open and what things are likely to be closed. But if you can do that well, you can get a big advantage in a draft. You know, ideally you want to be in a scenario where you successfully read things, you picked up on some color combination that other players weren't playing, and you got a bunch of powerful cards while your opponents, you know, sort of split up the card pool between them in other aspects and don't have very high card quality in their builds. Okay. What do we do? Okay, so the biggest bomb card that we drew was this Mace Windu. So that is a point in favor of red, of heroism aggression. This other stuff is at least okay, so we have Open Fire, Wampa, Starwing Scout, Wampa. We have a lot of Wampas here, which is honestly decent because Wampas are pretty solid. So we could have at least those 5 and maybe more if we incorporate some of these more marginal cards. Then we could have basically all these heroism cards. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. For the generic heroisms, we could go 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All of these are good, so that's actually a good position. And then the question would be, what aspect would we add if we were playing so we would be playing a fairly aggressive deck with Sabine. And so the question is, what would we add to supplement that? So if we wanted to, so I'm looking at these, this would be an option. We probably don't play Vanguard Ace, but these 3 are at least okay. And then we could supplement that with some of these tricks and other cards, but this isn't a super good pool. Our generics are also pretty bad. We don't have any copies of like Corellian Freighter, Underworld Thug, the AT-RT thing that can be used for ambushes, so that's a bit of a weakness, perhaps. A bit of a weakness. So I'm not seeing a huge number of cards. Basically my concern for Heroism Red is, let's say that we play these 5, we don't play the Cantina Braggarts. We will, I guess, play a Keep Fighting, even though it's kind of marginal. That would be 6 cards. Then we play all of this. That's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Then we're bringing in these. I think that put us at 15. No, 16. And then let's say that we go yellow. So then we're going to be 17, 18, 19. We don't want to play Vanguard Ace because that's a bad card. And then we're at 20, 21, 22, 23. We probably don't want the Mining Guild tie. 24. We probably don't want the Jawa. 25, maybe 26. So we're definitely having to scrape around for about 4 cards. Maybe we play the Cunning. Yeah, so maybe we play this copy of Cunning, and that would be 27. And then we find, you know, we find some more marginal cards. Let's see if we could do better. So if we say we have 16, let's see if this pool is going to be better. So we would play the Star Viper. We'd play the Strike True. So that'd be 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. We probably don't play Escort Skiff. I guess maybe we do if we have all these Star Vipers. That'd be 24 and then 25. But we don't have any other... We don't have any other Command Heroism cards, unfortunately. So, oh, and then I guess we probably play Out of Aspect Overwhelming Barrage, 26. But again, we're going to be kind of stuck hunting for cards to fill gaps. Not always where you want to be, but it would be a deck with at least some punch to it. I don't feel terrible about either of those, but I don't feel great about them. Let's take a look and see what we could do if we were going for a villainy build. So let's say we're running Boba Fett. So we would probably run all of these. That's 4 cards here. We have the Bounty Hunter Cruise, the No Good to Me Dead, Bib Fortuna. So let's say that we're running all of those. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we would have 12 cards there. Plus we would run these 3, I guess. That'd be 15. Though maximum firepower is going to suffer if we don't get a bunch of Imperials. And then what would we incorporate? So probably green would be the first one that I would look to. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. These are marginal. 23, we do get to play Barrage. 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. Okay, so that's at least getting us a denser, it's getting us a denser build, but is it actually better? So I do think, having those 2 super laser techs and an overwhelming barrage and Boba Fett just being one of the best leaders you can play in this format. I think I like Jin more than him, but I certainly like Boba. That would be a fairly strong, composition. Let's take a look at Vigilance and see if that's going to do better. I don't think it will. Yeah, it won't. Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. So I think I'm mostly between Boba Command, either Boba Command or Sabine Command. Sabine Command is more aggro. Boba Command is more mid-range. Is Sabine Command aggro enough? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set aside the cards that so we might play a Confiscate and sideboard. I'm going to set aside the cards from the aspects that we're probably not playing here. And we're going to kind of break down what it would look like if we were to make the... oh wait, that stuff's relevant for Sabine. Break down what it would look like if we were to make the relevant builds. So let's say that we do I like Sabine Command, or I think I like Sabine Command more than I like Sabine Cunning. So we'll set these aside as well. And yeah, it's interesting. Okay, so let's say that we do Sabine Command. So what I'm gonna do is start setting up the kind of cost curve here. So one thing that this deck has going for it is that it has a lot of good early plays. That's something that I really like to see. So it would have a lot of good early plays, and it would actually have some nasty stuff in space. These Consortium Star Vipers aren't the best. Actually, they're kind of a medium, like not really that good, but they see a lot of play as an anti-aggro tech in constructed gameplay. So then I'm just sort of looking at the cost curve here, and I'm trying to see, do we end up with something reasonable? You always want to kind of verify your cost curve, because you don't want to find yourself stuck in a situation where you have a bunch of, a deck where you have a bunch of good cards, but they don't like come together in a way that allows you to actually like run a reasonable overall curve that allows you to have, good plays at the right times. Ooh, yeah, we do have that Mace Windu also. That is such a nice card to have here. This is honestly looking pretty good. This is honestly looking pretty good for a... This is honestly looking pretty good for a sealed deck. We don't have a ton of removal, but we do have some. We can throw in the Out of Aspect Barrage. Okay, so if this is our build and this is our curve, we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8... 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 cards here. So we do need to import a few cards that are going to be maybe more marginal. So I don't know. So we could add like a Jedha Agitator or a Cantina Braggart. So that, we could add some of this stuff. So like a Vanguard Infantry actually isn't horrible with this build. Probably better than a Cantina Braggart, though I could be wrong. 97th Legion might give us another sort of closer-y card, even though it's not great. Probably don't want these. So now we're at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. And we need to find 2 more. We could play the Out of Aspect Confiscate, or the generic Confiscate here, which is a reasonable card to main deck. It's not like the sickest card to put in your main deck, but it is like pretty reasonable. And then, because I probably like Confiscate more than Power Failure, simply because Confiscate costs 1. And then maybe we throw the Jedha Agitator in there too. Not a great card. And actually, a Cantina Braggart would probably be better than a Jedha Agitator. Well, Jedha Agitator goes well with Sabine. The problem is just like every ground unit answers it. So I think we go like that. And one thing that this deck can do is go to space very strongly, which I think is a real asset. This is honestly looking like a very solid sealed deck to me. I'm not saying it's like the best ever, but it seems to me that this has some like really solid plays. So I'm pretty happy if this ends up being the deck. But I do want to also take a look and see what the Boba composition would be. I think we were talking about doing Boba green. So we're going to take the sort of Sabine exclusive cards from this group out of the picture. So what we're doing is we're going to be leaving the green generic cards, which would still be played in the Boba green build, but we're removing the red cards and the heroism based cards. So like Mace Windu, we're not going to play for 9. So now if we've removed these, now we're going to be looking at what we're going to be bringing in from the green villainy cards. So I know we have 2 super laser techs, for instance. And then we can also bring in Emperor's Royal Guard, Relentless, that's another endgame unit. Got kind of scrunched over here with all the endgame stuff. And then what does the curve end up looking like as we integrate? I'm gonna make this a little more orderly. What does this curve end up looking like as we integrate Boba? So we need to grab the we need to be grabbing our cunning cards here. So we have the cunning, so we'll have the bounty hunter crew. We do have snapshot reflexes, add a swoop. We have a huge number of 3 costs in this build. Surprise Strike and Asteroid Sanctuary down here with the tricks. Another Asteroid Sanctuary, 2 Disarms, Mining Tide, Bib. Yeah, so what I'm seeing here as I'm laying this out is that this build's cost curve is wildly worse than the one that we had. This build's cost curve, you know, without even laying out all the cards, is a lot worse than the one that we had with the Sabine build. So we have too much high end. We have a huge amount in. So the 3 cost slot here is we have tons of stuff in the 3 cost slot, but we don't have very much. We don't have very much 1 or 2 cost, and the ones that we have, a lot of them are bad. The only 2 cost cards here that I would really be happy to play on the first turn are Bib and the Viper Probe Droid. We also have a bunch of these small tricks. So having laid out the cost curves of these 2 builds, I haven't even completely built this yet, and I'm very confident that the Sabine version is going to be better. So based on having laid that out and looked at the card pool, even though this deck definitely has some cool stuff, I think the curve for the Sabine build is much better. So I'm going to be going with the Sabine command deck that I was showing earlier, and that's what we would run in this as a sealed pool. Okay, so that's going to do it for this one, guys. Sabine Wren is the winner, and that does mean we get to run our bomb card Mace Windu there. So we will. We would have to see how that went if we did end up playing that as a sealed pool. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video, guys. And I think I could be wrong, but I believe this is the last one of these 6-pack openings that I'm going to do, simply because at this point I don't think I'm gonna have 6 boosters in hand at a time. You know, maybe I'll win a bunch of packs at some event or something like that. You know, something like that could happen. And if I do get a bunch of packs at once, maybe I'll do another one of these. But for now, I think this is going to be, those were the last of the packs that I had on hand, and therefore I think that's going to be the last of these pack openings for a while. I do, of course, hope to do a similar sort of thing once we see set 2, or in the event that I get a bunch of packs at once. But yeah, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Thanks to y'all for watching, and we'll be back later with some more Star Wars Unlimited content. I will catch you guys later.